Super Sunday.
We'll talk about the first half, and then Spurs fans can switch off after that.
And Brighton fans can come back for the second half.
Hello, and welcome to Know The Score. My name is Luke Kempner, and I'm joined, as always, by Harry Daniels. How are you, man?
I'm very good, although my team dropped points, but I had a nice weekend.
Yeah.
How about you?
Very,
you had a nice weekend.
I had a very nice weekend. I don't know why I said joined by Harry Daniels. That's as if, like, you're my guest.
Yeah.
Each week, you're my guest. But no, very much my co-host. And lovely to have you back. Thank you so much for all your feedback we've had over the past few weeks. And if you're returning, thank you very much for returning. If you're new here, like and subscribe and all that stuff. Follow the pod. Give it a comment. All that stuff. It's lovely to have you here for the first time. And yes, it has been a lovely weekend. I've had quite a nice weekend, really, because my wife and daughter are away for a week. Wow. Right. So that
celebrating
meant,
that.
Well, I've been telling them I'm missing them.
Yeah.
Right. But it meant yesterday I had the whole day. I could watch both games. I couldn't watch simultaneous games, but I knew you were going to be mainly concentrating on the Chelsea Forest game. I bought the new FIFA.
Did you?
Yeah.
I've been playing that.
Have you?
Mm-hmm.
It's too complicated.
Yeah.
Why have they overcomplicated it?
It's not that bad.
They've for those of you who play FIFA, but like this new FIFA,
EAFC, thank you very much.
Grandad. But like they've changed it so now you can do any tactics you want. So you can do you could make it Pep's Barca from 2011, or
I agree. I like the old one where I could just be like,
I can't move the player anymore.
Yeah.
I want Odegaard to play out there.
Oh, you can.
What can you just select him and move him?
Sort of.
Or you've got to find the formation and then tell him he's got to be an inside advance forward. Look, this is for you. It's for nerds, right? This doesn't work for me.
Great.
I want to play career mode and imagine I'm the Arsenal manager.
Oh, you play career mode?
Yeah.
You really are old.
I can't play. I get too
Ultimate
angry.
Team
I get too angry playing Ultimate Team.
I don't know why. I don't play anything other than that.
Really?
Yeah, I've never played career mode.
Have you not?
Never.
See, the whole point for me, right, is playing computer games is an escape. Right, and I get to play career mode, or when I'm playing my Cricket 24, best game out there, made by Big Ant Productions. Love Big Ant; they always send me a free game. Is you get to sort of recreate life.
No, I play video games, and I only play online. I don't play anything else. So Call of Duty online, FIFA. I only play Ultimate Team.
I bet you play Fortnite.
I used to.
Do you play Minecraft?
No.
I bet you do.
Roblox. No.
Oh God,
I've never.
I like FIFA because I can pretend I can create my own little storyline, be the Arsenal manager. It's great. Yeah. But now, I've had to watch 5 YouTube clips. I've got like a second job. I'm trying to work out how to play FIFA. And I literally,
it's time to give up.
I said it out loud. I literally was playing it last night and trying to find the formation I could do. And then it was like, oh, that's just with the ball. You need one for without the ball. I went, nah, bored.
It's like there's a clip going around. It's like the caption is going into EAFC 25 for one final year, and it's Thierry Henry running on the pitch when he returned to Arsenal, and it's just like everyone who's much older than all the people playing. And to be fair, I feel like that. I play it and I get beat most of the time.
Yeah, but I don't play online. I get too angry. I once played online, right, and I lost a last-minute goal, and I kicked like a little futon, right, and my foot went like black, right, nice. With a bruise, and I was filming that day. And I had to go. I filmed a show called Merger and Successful, won a BAFTA. Thanks for asking. If you haven't seen it, Merger and Successful on BBC iPlayer. It's fantastic, starring Tom Davis. But I had to go in. I was like limping because I'd kicked.
And they were like, "What happened?" You're like, "I was playing FIFA."
Yeah, I was playing football. I was playing
right.
So too angry. I can see you getting bored, Harry. All right, I'll move on.
Well,
okay.
We are 4.5 minutes in.
4.5 minutes. People love this stuff. Yeah. I swear, after saying before we started even doing this podcast, let's not do too much at the top.
No, you said you didn't want to do too much of an intro because people get bored and they won't listen.
Yeah,
Here we are.
Then I remembered that I'm interesting.
Yeah.
So that's why I thought I would ask the questions. Good. Let's get on to the week of football. This is Game Week 7.
Yes.
Review of Game Week 7. Podcast episode... I don't know, 12. I have no idea anymore. But this is a review of Game Week 7. Your team dropped points. My team won. I think it was a really good week of football. You had a couple of boring games.
Yeah, which we'll get to. Well, a couple of boring games in terms of... No, there were a couple of boring games. I was trying to bail them out, but they were.
I think we'll get there. Sort of the Leicester game, I think, was quite dull.
The Everton,
Man United, game. Everton, Newcastle. But I suppose there was a bit of a headline in that, and the Man U Villa game really was dull. I fell asleep.
Yeah.
But let's get into the early... Oh, no, we're going to start with our big football question of the week.
Yes.
Hot topic.
Hot topic.
Now, this is a question all based off so if you don't know about the Lassana Diarra rule that's coming in, right? So this is a rule where Lassana Diarra, who played for Chelsea, played for Arsenal for about 5 seconds, right? But basically, when he was playing for Lokomotiv Moscow, he breached his contract. So they ended his contract and he wanted to do a move. But then they wouldn't let him move because basically if he moved, he was going to move to this club in Belgium. And that club in Belgium didn't want to pay the compensation. And Lokomotiv Moscow said, well, you can't move then. And FIFA said, you can't have this, whatever, you need this certificate to say that you can do this transfer, right? So they're changing the rule. So if you do breach your contract and your contract is terminated for whatever reason, you can still move without that new club paying compensation. It's a bit like the Bosman ruling, and this is like a new one, the Diarra ruling. Okay. So I thought, let's recreate some rules of our own. So if you could change a rule in football, what would it be?
I've got a few things for this. I've actually got 3.
Nice.
So
I think I've got a few as well.
The first one actually came from watching the Chelsea Forest game this weekend, but generally I hate time wasting in football.
Yeah.
Like I want refs to start it would never happen, right? A few of these things would never happen, but I want refs to start judging whether a player is actually injured or time wasting.
Oh, nice.
And if he thinks they're time wasting, just book them while they're lying on the floor.
Nice.
Just like cut it out. Like there were a couple of times it happens, and when it's your team, you love it. You're like, oh yeah, time wasting. Like we're 2-1 up, great.
Yeah.
Like it's waste it. And then when it's against you, it's the worst.
Oh
thing.
yeah.
It's like they're rolling around on the floor, and then they give the free kick, and then they get up straight away, and they're absolutely fine. I don't want that anymore. I want the ref to go, no, you're time wasting. Here you go, yellow card, and get up.
Yeah, and then he gets up and he's like done his ACL.
Yeah. Then it's like, all right, I'll take it.
All right. And then they do a review and they see the bone snapping and they go, okay, no yellow. See you in 6 months. No, I like that one. I've got a few. I've got refs mic'd up, right? Because we sort of had it during COVID where you could hear the players.
You get it at rugby as well.
And you get like, you'd have like, I remember Rob Holding when, I think it was Traore ran past me and said, look at him, he's built like a brick house. And it's like, I want refs mic'd up so we can hear the players. I love that. Even when it's in Brighton Arsenal game, Danny Welbeck going, it's double yellow card. It's a double yellow card. Like that. So I like that.
Yeah. I've got one. International breaks.
Yeah.
Scrap them.
Okay.
But don't just not like, I
just
hate
no
international breaks,
football.
so scrap them and no internationals. Put it all at the end of the season for a month straight. End the season a month earlier in the end of
But what about
April.
if there's a tournament?
Well, yeah. So end it at the end of March.
Yeah.
Or do it in January. Or do it at one point.
Yeah, just all at one point.
All at one point. Because it will give players who won't get these random international break injuries like Kai Havertz has suddenly got where he's not going to play for Germany and he's absolutely fine.
Yeah, he's got a knee injury.
Yeah, exactly. So that won't happen because players will go for a month. Managers of international football will get actual time with their squads. International football fans will get this whole month that they're really excited about. And the rest of us don't have to deal with this week off.
Yeah. And there's 3. We've got another one in November.
Honestly.
It's hard for podcasters as well, actually.
Yeah, what do we do next week?
I have no idea. Yeah. Right? We're going to watch bloopers.
Yeah.
And we're going to wear our own clothes.
Yeah.
So, yes, I like that one. Here's one that I've liked for a long time that I've always wanted to implement is you can only change a manager at the end of the season. Right? Because it's always annoyed me, right? We're already getting it this season, right? So it's like Ten Hag's Man United, right? And then they'll suddenly sack him and they'll get Ruud van Nistelrooy in and they'll have the big manager bounce. And then if you're playing them, Arsenal seem to always play teams that have got the new manager bounce. It happens with relegated teams. Russell Martin gets sacked and they'll bring in a manager and they'll get 5 good results. Where I think you should have to stick for the manager for a year.
Give managers a notice period. So you sack him, they've got to give him 3 more months before he's allowed to leave. He's got to work his notice period.
Gardening leave. But I just feel like if because you can't move players until it's the transfer window. Maybe the transfer window is fair enough. So why should you be able to move managers? It's not fair.
Yeah. I've got one more, and it actually happens in quite a lot of other European leagues. I think they do it in Germany, where the team that finishes 18th, so third bottom, plays the team that finishes third. So effectively the team that wins the championship, and whoever wins that stays in the Prem. So the team that has 18th has the ability, if they win that game, to stay in the Premier League. It happens in Germany. I don't know if in Germany they have the playoffs though, or if it's just the team that finishes third.
The Bundesliga, the main Bundesliga.
Yeah, so the team that finishes third bottom has a playoff game against the team is third in the effective Bundesliga 2, and the winner of that stays in the championship, stays in the league.
Wow,
I think that'd be great. Could you imagine the chaos?
I think it'd be good viewing, but also because the team that's finished third, surely they don't care.
Why?
Well, because what matters to them?
Because they'll get promoted if they win the game.
Oh, they finish third in the league below.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, they get promoted.
Yes. Again, I sort of get it, but then I just think like it's good for drama. But it's like, what's the point of the league then?
Well,
because it's
the top 2 get automatic promotion. The bottom 2 go down.
No, I mean, I'd like to see.
Or maybe you make it 4th bottom and then the loser of the playoff final and make it slightly bigger.
Yeah.
So you could have a 4-team swing.
Oh my God, they'd be playing into July.
Yeah.
I like that one. One final one. Oh, I got 2. One, I think managers should have to take the 12th penalty. That'd be fun.
Yeah, that would.
Because the thing is like, then the trouble is though,
So
teams
someone
start
like Zidane,
exactly. And then it's like Roy Hodgson.
Angelotti's.
I'd love that.
Down.
That'd be great. Imagine Big Ange running out. Come on, mate.
I wouldn't get to the
Give us a minute, everybody. That'd be fun. And then the other one, just get rid of the League Cup. That's quite controversial. But
take Prem teams out of the League Cup.
But I just think, like, what's the point? It's the Johnson's Paint Trophy then. Just get rid of it.
Get
rid of it, and then the FA Cup will be better.
If you're in Europe, you don't go in the FA Cup.
I just think get rid of the League Cup.
Yeah, I
What's
agree.
the point?
Other leagues don't have 2.
And then the FA Cup, you can put more into the FA Cup because then you don't have to like cancel all the replays. You don't have to because there's not all the extra fixtures with the League Cup.
Well, they've cancelled replays now.
No, but that's what I mean. You could put the FA Cup replays back in.
Yeah, that's true. But there shouldn't be. Well,
and there could be extra time like it used to be in the old days. And just get rid of the League Cup. No one cares.
Yeah.
I don't know why it was ever a thing in the first place. It's the same as the FA Cup.
Yeah, I agree. I do agree. And
I'm sure. I bet it's a sponsorship thing. It's just like,
Carabao.
This is but
energy
now,
drink.
This is a new bit. Like back in the day, it was like this is sponsored by Hornby.
Yeah, now it's energy drinks.
Oh, get rid of it.
Anyway,
okay, good.
If you have ones that you'd like to change football, for better or for worse,
just give us some ideas.
Yeah, let us know what you do.
I think most of these. I mean, obviously the manager one's a bit silly. But any reasonable ones.
And they're going to be silly if you'd like silly.
I like silly.
Yeah.
Right, let's get into the football. Let's start with the first fixture.
Let's just talk very briefly. Shout out to
go on.
Bournemouth, because we didn't record it before the Monday night game last week. Bournemouth 3, Southampton 1. I'll do 30 seconds on it. Bournemouth were fantastic. Southampton made 3 changes at half-time, tried to get back into the game, and scored 1, missed some chances and didn't. The reason we want to cover this is we won't be quite as positive about Bournemouth for the rest of this podcast. But they were very good on that Monday night. And I was like, oh, they're going to be great. You know, they've got Leicester next weekend. They'll win that and they'll be all right before they go into the hard round of fixtures. And then they didn't. But they were very good. And Southampton, Semenyo was very good.
Lovely Semenyo.
He's been really good. Evan Nilsson got his first goal. We've been saying it's needed to come.
Yeah, I know. And I thought maybe I started to think, maybe a little Evan Nilsson in my fantasy team, but because I was on my wild card this week, but I didn't go for him. But yes, we'll get to them. They weren't as great this week, but I think that's mainly due to Leicester's tactics.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was last week. This is this week.
Yeah.
The 12:30 kickoff. Who, if you had to always guess who was playing the 12:30 kickoff,
Liverpool.
It'd be Liverpool.
And I thought once Klopp left, they'd stop getting the 12:30 kickoff. But
just you like they were doing it to annoy him before.
And now they still get it. They get it so much. I do feel bad for them.
I do feel bad for him as well. I think that should be a rule as well. Like if you've played European football on the Wednesday, you shouldn't have to play on the 12:30.
You should never be the 12:30.
No, but they were, and they played Crystal Palace away, and Liverpool have only conceded 2 goals this season. Like they're
fortunate to have only conceded.
I think the thing is, I think what obviously, as always, trying to link it back to Arsenal, but I thought Nketiah was a bit unlucky, really close offside. He had another chance as well. I thought Palace probably deserved a pen. I don't know. What do you thought? Did you see it?
Yeah, the pull from Van Dijk. I mean, I think it probably was, and I do think it. I think
the reason I've just said probably deserved it because I wrote on my notes, well, that's a pen. Yeah. And actually, when I saw it on Match of the Day, I thought, I mean, the thing is, he pulls Guehi back, who could have certainly got more of a chance of headering it in if he'd not been pulled back. So
the one it happened to Chelsea West Ham the other week where we pulled, I think it was Somerville back, and it wasn't given. And I said in that one that I thought it was a pen. This is, I feel like, slightly less clear whether he's going to get the ball. But I suppose, is that a deciding factor on whether it's a foul or not? Because if it had happened miles away and you rugby tackle someone, even if they're not going to get the ball, it's still a foul.
Yeah.
So I still think it probably is. And I don't want to say there's a big team bias, but I do wonder if it had been the other way round at Anfield.
Really?
Maybe I'm being conspiracy theory, but
maybe.
And if it's one of those, I think if it's given, it's probably not overturned, and that's they don't want to spend ages overturning decisions. If this had been given, they wouldn't have overruled it. Is probably my opinion on it.
Yeah. My first view was it was a penalty.
Yeah, same.
And then my second view was maybe not. So then maybe you have to sort of give the benefit of the doubt to the original decision. But it wasn't given. Jota scored a nice goal. Diaz is now being benched.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is the issue. And the other issue with international football is clubs know that international managers don't care how many minutes their player has played. So they know Luis Diaz is going to go to Colombia and play 180 minutes. Yeah. And he has to go, well, I then have to rest you because I know what's going to happen going into the international break because he has played a lot of minutes. Jota scored the goal. He also missed a couple of big chances. This could have been more for Liverpool if Jota had finished his dinner. There was one from a Trent cross, like low across the box. And there was one from a corner as well, which he missed the header on. So there were definitely opportunities that Liverpool should have put more gap between them and Crystal Palace. But then after they didn't, there were Palace opportunities to go and get back into this game, which they didn't take either. And they haven't been taking this season as a whole. They've been missing these chances.
And Mateta was benched. I think, Glasner, who definitely thought it was a penalty. But they're still without a win this season. They're obviously missing Elise a lot. And Wharton is not playing like he was at the end of last season. So he came off early with an injury, a groin injury.
It feels like they're pushing him through.
Will Hughes came on and they were a lot better, actually.
My friend went to school with Will Hughes.
Really?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. And then Alisson got injured and they didn't have, I don't even know the name of the keeper that came on, but they didn't have Kelleher because he wasn't very well.
He was ill.
But Kelleher, he loves, he's very excited. Yeah. He's been talking for a long time about how she should be the goalkeeper for Liverpool. So he's got to be excited. Get yourself well, get on the Lemsip because in a couple of weeks' time you're in. Alisson gets injured.
We've said this.
Yeah.
He gets injured more than any other goalkeeper I've ever known.
Which is always usually like 3 weeks, so probably a good time with the international break.
No, I think it might be longer.
Really?
I think they said Arnie Slot said it might be longer than that. Now, we play them straight after the international break. So we're licking our lips a little bit at that. I mean, Kelleher is
good,
a good, but he's not Alisson.
I know.
There are a couple
but it's
of
not like it's...
No. His one-on-one saving ability, though, Alisson, is incredible. It's weird. It's when players run through on goal against Alisson, you kind of expect them not to score, which I don't against Kelleher. And, we take anything we can get going away to Anfield. So we'll see what happens. But it does look like they'll be out with him for probably a few matches.
And the thing is, they're about to go into their big test. They've got Chelsea, they've got Arsenal. They've obviously had a fantastic start. This is the best start from a new Liverpool manager ever.
Yep.
There's been such a smooth transition into Arne Slot's football. And I don't think the Liverpool fans are obviously, loving him as much as they loved Klopp just yet. But, I mean, what a fantastic start in other competitions as well. But, look, I think this is why you always say you can judge it after the first 10 games. They've now got two difficult games coming up with Chelsea and Arsenal. Chelsea are going to be missing a couple of players as well. So then I think we'll be able to really make a decision of whether Liverpool are absolutely title contenders, which I think they are. Because I'm worried. I'm worried about playing them, mainly because of how solid they're looking.
They look very good defensively.
And Gravenberch, it's just turned into this a beautiful ball-playing six.
Yeah. Let's see what happens, though. We have said he's been fantastic in games you'd expect them to dominate.
And games where he has been given time to dominate. Arsenal will not give them that time.
And that Chelsea midfield, we probably won't give him time either.
Yeah. So then it's going to be interesting to see.
And they also have in their next, 7, Villa, City, Newcastle, Chelsea, Arsenal. That is a difficult run.
Yeah.
Plus, they've got an awful run in Europe as well. And they've got Brighton in the, Brighton in the Cup as well. It is if you've seen the
Pointless
graphic,
Cup,
they've got a horrible 2 months until about the end of November.
The game is, when they're playing Arsenal, so they play Leipzig, who are looking really good.
Yeah. Don't they play Chelsea, Leipzig, Arsenal straight after the break?
Yeah, so
then
Chelsea,
Brighton in the Cup.
Leipzig away, and then Arsenal away. So it's 3 away games they've got in a row. So we'll see.
It's going to be without Alisson. We're saying Kelleher's absolutely fine. But it is a period of fixtures that they would want a fully fit squad.
Of course.
And someone like Alisson in there just to give them that little extra bit. Let's see how Keller gets on, because he's been very good for them in the past.
Yeah.
But you always want your first choice.
And he's not rotating, like Quansah didn't come in and play against Bologna in the week. Like, he's kept with Konate. And I've never seen Konate play this many games.
No.
So now he's going to play every 3 days. And the thing is, when Arsenal played Man City and we were away to Atalanta on the Thursday, then played Man City, where City had been at home on the Wednesday, where like this is the opposite now, where like Liverpool got to play away on the Wednesday, then against Arsenal. So yes, we shall see. But look, let's move on now to, I think, the game of the weekend. Brentford versus Wolves.
Oh, okay.
No, I thought we'd come to Arsenal after that.
In our list, the reason I went, oh gosh, is because Arsenal were next in our list. But
I feel like we'll do alternate.
Okay, yeah,
This is one of your games.
Brentford Wolves. I mean, Brentford scored again.
Yeah.
It was after a minute.
Kept us waiting.
1 minute and 17 seconds. I was bored for the first minute.
Of course.
Honestly, I was like, come on, do something better than this. And then they scored. I mean, it's like Wolves got to a minute and were like, oh, they haven't scored. We can switch off now. They were like, oh, that's it. They're done for this weekend. They didn't score, so they won't score again.
They made the point, or Thomas Frank made the point as well, that when it was 2-2, they did the same thing. They scored really, really quickly after the kickoff. So it's clearly this tactic
of
that works, of getting it, slamming it down the wings, and getting it in.
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about...
It's quite old school, really.
Yeah, we'll talk about Wolves afterwards. I mean, Brentford were very good again. Yeah. They look so good going forward, even without Visa at the moment. Yeah. He is meant to be back after the international break, which will be even more of a boost for them. It is slightly concerning, the amount of goals that they are leaking at the moment, even in this game. Like, they score 5, but they have to score 5 because they concede 3, like the other games the past few weeks. They've been leaking goals. Their front sort of 4 is ticking like anything at the moment, like any of those attacks in the league. They are one of the most deadly. Player I really want to shout out was actually not one of the goal scorers, or not one of the players that gets the headlines as much, and that is Damsgaard. I think he's so good for them, and he's so focal to what they're doing at the moment. And if you watch him on set pieces, just his open play, like link up with the rest of them, he allows the likes of Carvalho, the likes of Schade, the likes of Mbeumo to go and do what they do. And I think he's so important. They are going to get massive boosts with injuries over the next couple of weeks as well. Like, Visa's meant to be back on the grass.
Amazing.
Rico Henry is back on the grass. He got injured this time last year, has been out for a year. He was so good, and he would have been in the Euro squad playing left back if he'd have stayed fully fit. They signed Reguilon last year to fill in that space, but they massively missed that sort of fullback at joining the attack. So they're only going to get stronger. And yeah, I'm really excited by them. We've always said that Thomas Frank is a top manager.
How do they keep hold of him?
I know. Well, he will surely go at some point. He's a big data-driven manager.
Chelsea at one point. I mean, like, Man United wouldn't be...
No.
Sorry, Brentford fans who are watching, but I just can't... I'm surprised Thomas Frank is still there. He's such a good manager. And like, losing Tony, replaced him with Vissa, then Vissa gets injured, and they're still producing like this.
Because they're such a system team.
Yeah.
Like, they're one of the teams that they deal like only in big chances, right? They don't bother shooting if it's not like a 0.4 XG chance. And they don't create hundreds of chances, but they'll create 9 chances a game. They'll all be big chances.
Right, okay.
And that's how they play football.
Yeah.
He is a very data-driven manager, and that's the way he likes to play. And we saw it again. Again, Mbeumo's stepping up for the penalty, cool as anything.
Yeah.
No one cares that Ivan Toney's not there to slot it home. He is.
I hated that penalty, though. Because it looks too calm.
I know.
And then it's like, and I know it goes in.
If you save it, you look like an idiot. But
when they,
no one saves it.
Like, do you know, like, when they say, "Oh, he sent the keeper the wrong way"?
Yeah.
What does that? How do you send the keeper the wrong way?
If I stepped up and did that,
we look at him and go, "Oh, man, I'm going over there."
I'm going over there.
Well, then you don't.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, because I think we'll get that. But Anthony Gordon told Pickford, "I'm going to do it there."
Yeah, we'll talk about that penalty.
Okay, but
Wolves.
But Wolves. It's got to get to a point now where, like, it's really, really bad. Now, they've got some winnable games coming up.
They've got City next week. So
after City, sorry.
We'll give them a break for...
But they always
City.
beat City.
Yeah, but then it's Brighton, Crystal Palace, Southampton, Fulham, Bournemouth, Everton. I mean, you can't sack him to start with because he's a very good manager, and I will stand by that. And you have to give him at least some of those games before. Yeah. But... it is concerning, like shipping 5 goals as well. They lost Mosquera a couple of weeks ago to injury, and it's not looking great for them defensively.
Well, he was the replacement, wasn't he? You know, they sold Kilman, and the replacement.
Well, it wasn't really a replacement because he was already in the squad. So they've just basically sold Kilman and just said, "Oh, you'll play."
But I know that he wanted to get in a centre back with Premier League experience, and they didn't because I presume they thought Mosquera could come in and fill that spot. Then he's got how long? I mean, it's a big injury. Isn't
It's
it?
like season ending.
So, like to sort of just sack him, I think is quite largely unfair.
Yeah, the front three still looks good enough. Like Strand Larsen scored, Cunha scored. Like attacking wise, and we saw it against Liverpool, right? They created chances against Liverpool. That is a water for anyone wondering what just cracked open at what time is it? 10:30 on a Monday morning.
Cheers, mate. It's been a tough weekend.
What was I saying? You've completely. Oh yeah, the front three. The only thing I wonder is like Hwang Hee-chan was so good last year.
Yeah,
just not getting a look in for the starting team. But I would say going forward, they look very good, and they look like not very good, but they look good enough. They're scoring goals. They looked good against Liverpool, created chances, but they need to sort it out defensively, and I don't quite know what
they haven't kept a clean sheet. I think it sounds like since February.
Yeah,
against Sheffield United.
That's because Aït-Nouri spends half his time playing up front, scoring goals.
Goal,
got an assist as well. Yeah, I might bring him in my fantasy team.
Yeah, I know. 4 points. Is he still 4.4?
Yeah. But defensively, they really need to sort it out, and that's the issue. And if they concede this many goals, and there's a few other teams down at the bottom creating chances but just conceding way too many goals, that they've got to sort that out. I mean, they were good defensively before.
It's this next 4 games, isn't it? It's just like, if they can't start winning the games around them, you can say the same for Palace as well. If you can't start winning those games around you, well, then they are going to have to look at changing the manager.
But I don't think it's the manager's fault.
Nor do I. But then that's what teams always do.
It's what happens if you're losing.
Which is why they should only be able to change the managers at the end of the season.
Give him a bit more time to change things around.
You see, Arteta, man, we've got to give him the time.
Yeah. Let's talk about Arteta.
Let's move to Arsenal. Very nice.
If you want to skip forward 5 minutes in the podcast to listen to the rest of our equally well-balanced reviews of games.
I'm a well-balanced Arsenal fan.
Yeah.
And again, superb in the first half. But yet we just couldn't put the chances away. And Ramsdale, I feel like he wasn't as busy as I expect he thought he was going to be.
He got a good reception.
Good reception.
Very nice reception.
It's very easy when you're 3-1 up at the end of the game to cheer Aaron Ramsdale on. And also I think he did very well not to celebrate when Southampton scored, because Ramsdale is usually like in the crowd with the fans.
Yeah.
The Ramsdale return, we went 1-0 down with a deflected Archer shot, which no one is really mentioning, that it took a bit of a deflection off Saliba. Like, who knows where it goes after that. But against the run of play, I thought Southampton were a lot better than they have been.
Yes.
Russell Martin seems to have changed. He needs a bit of an haircut, I think. He's looking a bit dishevelled.
Yeah, they're better than they have been, but they still got beat 3-1.
Yes, they did. But there's a difference of the way they lost 3-1 to Bournemouth and the way they lost 3-1 to Arsenal. True. Right? In the first half...
And we expect them to lose 3-1 to you. All credit to Southampton. But we don't expect them to lose necessarily 3-1 to Bournemouth.
And Dibbling was fantastic again.
This guy.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I can't see him staying at Southampton past next season, but the trouble is that they might make him too expensive. But Arsenal had made quite a lot of changes, which is very unlike Arteta.
Yes.
We started with Sterling, we started with Jesus, Partey at right back, because we got about 48 right backs, but they're all injured.
Yeah, you buy so many fullbacks.
I know.
Like us, and then we buy all these right backs, and they're all just injured all the time.
And I feel like we'll get onto City, but again, it's constant talk of Rodri's injured. Rodri's in. How are they going to do about Rodri? It's so clearly without Rodri. Like with no Odegaard and no Ben White, that's includes Saka. That triangle from playing the new FIFA, it's all about them triangles, right? And you're losing that right hand side completely. Yeah. And then we didn't have Trossard in there, who had been playing there. So Havertz dropped back, and we played Jesus up front. But I thought Partey did really well at right back. Saka was fantastic again.
I have to give. I know we joked last week about Palmer versus Saka, and I feel like every week it's going to be one or the other.
Yeah.
Like, this is Saka's week, and he was so good.
It's fun to debate this Saka versus Palmer thing, but essentially it's kind of a stupid debate because they play different positions.
And Palmer's just clear.
But Palmer is a player that can sort of get on the ball whenever he wants, whereas Saka's position is a lot more defined. And I think what I love about Saka, and why I think Mikel loves him so much, is because he's so efficient. And actually, if you compare him and Sterling, right? Sterling, who I think, at times in his career, has been one of the best players in the Premier League.
Are you loving his signing?
He wasn't great in this game, in my opinion, and I'm not everyone agrees with
hold
that.
Judgment. We spoke about it when he signed.
When he played well against Bolton.
You were excited by
no,
it.
I like him,
I don't
but
know.
it was good to see him in this game because his first Premier League start. But what is different to him and Martinelli and players that have played under Mikel Arteta for a long time is they are so efficient.
Yeah.
Where Sterling isn't efficient. Like, he tries to take players on. He doesn't when the easy pass is there. Calafiori is complete opposite. He is slotted in so perfectly. Where I found Sterling, there had been times where I think Mikel would have just been like, why have you not passed?
Yeah.
Why have you not made that decision efficiently? And I think that's why Saka sort of doesn't get the same flowers in the same way that Cole Palmer does, is because he is just so efficient. He doesn't try and do skillful stuff. There was a couple of times where he ended a Southampton player's career. But he is so efficient.
Yeah. The pass for the second goal, particularly the looped cross,
it's beautiful.
Is so good.
And again, and credit to Martinelli, like that. That is a hard thing to do.
Yeah.
I thought Havertz's goal was like really reminding me of Robin van Persie. Yeah. Like, he was Havertz. I mean, unbelievable. 7 really goals in a row now at home. Yeah. I think it's a really good performance from Arsenal. I'm not worried that we created a lot of chances in the first half and didn't score, because he made changes, which I think is really important to do this season, especially with the new Champions League format. So all in all,
it was a very good weekend for you, I would say.
Yeah.
And like, although the other teams around you won as well, in this 3-horse title race, I would say yours was the most convincing. But maybe it should have been based on the opponent.
Completely.
But you've got Bournemouth away when you get back, then Liverpool, Newcastle, Chelsea. That is a testing run, I suppose, on paper. But you would hope, if you come through that with, at least 7 points, 2 wins and a draw, if not 9, which I'd probably predict you to get 9. But if you come through that with that, and then you have a nice run all the way through till Christmas, then you are looking very good. Yeah,
it'd be interesting to see. Odegaard, there's talk of Odegaard being back after an international break, which is really exciting.
I've heard such mixed reports on this Odegaard injury.
Well, he said in his programme notes that he was feeling really good. He's soon to be back on the grass.
All right.
So that's from the horse's mouth.
All right.
So I don't know. And Timber's not going away with Holland.
No.
Which I think is really good because he's not had a break at all.
Has he got an injury like Kai Havertz has?
No, because he didn't even play in this game.
All right.
So I think, and I think if we can get Timber back and Ben White, then we're only going to be looking stronger.
Yeah.
And Odegaard is such a massive miss for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yes. So all in all, very, very good. Right, let's move on. For me, one of the more dull games of the week, Leicester versus Bournemouth.
Yes. I mean, I think we have a prediction league and we'll talk about it at the end. I don't think anyone predicted Leicester to win this game. Their first win, they needed to get off the ground. Their goalkeeper is going to keep them in this league if they stay up. Absolutely. Another great performance.
Herman Munster.
Yeah, a couple of incredible saves, particularly late on. Save one from Semenyo. He was really good. And like their goal scorer, it's easy to call out the goal scorer and say, oh, he was great. But Buonanotte was really good this game.
Is he on loan?
I think he was on loan from Brighton.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they've got hundreds of wingers, so they just ship half them out to other Premier League clubs on loan. But yeah, he was really good. And he, of course, scored a fantastic, basically solo goal and helped win them this game. And he had a couple of other chances as well. Jamie Vardy was very, hot topic. He's back in the Prem, he's scoring. I don't know if he's fully got it. Like, he went off after 75 minutes for Edouard, of course, previously at Crystal Palace, not getting any minutes because Mateta was there. And I wonder if we'll start to see that slowly change. Vardy's had like 6 shots this year. He scored 3 goals. It's like conversion is not going to keep going on in that pace. And I do wonder if Edouard is slowly going to be the long-term replacement for it. They defended well. Bournemouth had a couple of chances. Leicester set up quite well to counter Bournemouth, I think. They did a pretty good job of not giving them the chances. Like, they created so much against Southampton, and Leicester just didn't really give them nearly as much clear-cut stuff as Bournemouth did on Monday night. But Bournemouth will definitely be disappointed. They go into a very difficult run now of 3 games. I think it's Arsenal, Villa, City, that they would have wanted 3 points from this to put them as a boost, because if they suddenly lose all 3 of those and teams below them pick up some points, things start to look slightly worse for wear again for them. Leicester will be very positive. Yeah, I mean, I would say Leicester will be very positive. I still don't think Cooper quite knows what's going on there. He feels like one of the managers that feels out of his depth. I felt he was out of his depth when he was at Forest.
I think the trouble is, though, when you've gone from Maresca, and I suppose as Leicester fans who've seen that football under Maresca, and then they've got Cooper, which is the complete sort of opposite, more sort of old school. Maybe I'm doing him a disservice, but it feels like he's more that old school. And it's like, you need to get Kerbishley in, you need to get Allardyce in. You know, it feels a bit more like that. And sort of, Leicester fans can complain all they like, but they've come out of this game with 3 points. Yeah. You know, and they're 15th. They've got 6 points after the first 7 games.
You take that.
I think you sort of have to take that.
I mean,
it's so hard to stay in this league.
Southampton, Forest, Ipswich in the next 3. Okay?
Yeah.
After those 3 games, let's review where they are. Because if they win 1 and draw 1 and lose 1, they'll be looking all right. Yeah. So a big few weeks for them. And this is a really big win. They needed to get underway, I think, before these games.
Yes. So I think Leicester fans should be sort of happy.
It's one of those where you're happy with the result and you're happy that you managed to keep a clean sheet against a team like Bournemouth. And there are positives from it if you look at it on paper. When you look at the actual like game, there were definitely chances that it could have gone the other way. But you have to win.
How did Semenyo play? Just thinking about my fantasy team.
Fine. He definitely had chances as well. Was not as lively as he was on Monday night, but is still a good. I
suppose you sort of have to think when they're 5.6, or is it maybe 5.7 now? You can't be too disappointed if they're scoring 1 in 2 games.
No.
Okay.
No.
Let's move on to Manchester City versus Fulham.
Yes.
Now, Fulham were fantastic in this game.
Yeah.
Again, you know, their XG was 2.40. And City are so open to chances. They just obviously create chances, but you know, Kovacic isn't going to score twice.
Bailed out by Kovacic.
I mean, he scored twice last season and has now scored twice in the game. And his wife was pregnant, dedicated the goal to his wife, which I thought was quite nice. But Manchester City were very, very open, which I think, you know, having said, why do we always banging out about Rodri? But what Rodri does is he controls them in possession, and then when they're out of possession, when they're without the ball, he's also coming over to help on the left hand side, coming over to help on the right hand side, and they were just so open through the middle.
Well, they played like a midfield too. They had like Gundogan in there again. They had Kovacic and they have Rico Lewis, and I love Rico Lewis, and he's in my fantasy team, and I think he's an incredible footballer. But none of these players do any sort of a job that Rodri will. And Fulham, of course, they changed their system slightly. They dropped Smith Rowe or benched him and went with a slightly more solid midfield. They put Sander Berge in there, and they massively dominated in that midfield area, and they created so many chances. City were lucky to get anything from this game.
The trouble is Traore, man.
I know.
He had 3 excellent chances. You know, he scored 6 goals. He scored 13 goals in the last 6 years.
Yeah, it's 13 Premier League goals. I feel like he's been there for so long.
But if 13 goals in the last 6 years, I think there's some. I was hearing something where in the last 6 years, Hazard has scored as many goals as that, and he's been left the Prem and retired. Yeah. You know, it's like Lewis Dunk has scored the same amount of goals. And it was interesting seeing Pep talking to him at the end. He's probably known him from his early Barcelona days and stuff. Because it's just like, he's so good until he has to do anything with the football.
I agree. They did something really interesting with him. They put him on the other side. They played him left wing rather than use a right wing and put away, because they knew that's City's weaker spot, because Rico Lewis played there and he inverts into midfield. So they suddenly leave this gap with a centre back going up against Traore. And even if Rico Lewis is then filling in at right back, like, he's not a defensive right back who's going to deal with Traore.
But then they changed it by bringing Kyle Walker in and putting Kyle Walker in at the as the 3 centre backs. So Rico Lewis then verted more to sort of a right wing back, but that can come in central midfield. I mean, he's so the perfect Pep player. Yeah. And anyone who's worried that Rico Lewis is coming out of that team, I just don't think has to anymore. No. Because I just think Walker is far more likely to be benched. And Walker lost out in a foot race to Traore.
I mean, he's so quick. And I love that he swapped him and played him in that side, because he created so many chances. And if Adama Traore could finish his dinner, City would not have won this game.
Yeah. And what I think is also good is that Fulham went for it. And I've said this a couple of weeks ago, that so many teams go to Man City thinking they've already lost. Like, Wolves will probably go to Man City think, we're not going to win, but we got 3 winnable games. Even you sort of said it the way, well, get through Man City.
It's at home, though, for them.
Yeah.
So maybe they will.
But I think teams that go for it now against Man City, you're going to get chances.
Without Rodri, you can go for it. You can. I mean, the Jimenez assist, I want to give a little shout out. Incredible back heel.
Love that.
Outrageous stuff.
If you've not seen that, go and check that one out.
But what's he doing? It's one amazing. Of those. And it's like when, that goal I go back to, like when Company scored from 30 yards. Like, what a goal. But also, what the hell is he doing? Why is Jimenez doing that?
I love it.
I mean, fantastic assist.
I
love
think
it.
Jimenez is having a, really good
resurgence.
Yeah, and it's 2 goals and an assist in the last 3 games. Yeah. Muniz coming on and scoring as well. Yes, I think it was a really. I'm disappointed as a looking at a title race. I feel like this is one where Man City have got to be happy to have got out of here with a win.
You have to look at it and think they will concede chances to teams. They will drop points without Rodri there. They will.
I hope so.
I still have you, and I look at it this weekend. I just don't see them winning the league at this rate.
I think the trouble is I can't look at Arsenal in the same way that I look at Man City and that Liverpool team from 2 or 3 years ago. And I don't know if that's just because I've been a pessimistic fan, but I just can't look at us like being one of those top teams.
The thing is with City is if they get to January close enough to the top, they're going to spend crazy money on someone.
But that doesn't mean it'll work.
No, but they will.
Of course.
And they'll sign 3 players if it takes it.
Of course, but that doesn't... That I know it's more likely to work with Pep and Man City, but yes, I don't know. I know what you mean. And I think Arsenal need to be like 7 or 8 points clear at Christmas.
But they still, they've got Spurs, which maybe not that difficult. They've got Liverpool away between now and Christmas. But even some of these games, like away at Bournemouth, away at Brighton, like there's the way they're conceding chances. And they don't have the depth for Europe as well. Like they've got so many games.
Maybe. Lovely goal from Doku.
Yes.
I mean, I think he slightly mishits it, actually. He even sort of said...
Also, what the goalkeeper... Did it swerve?
Yeah, it swerved.
Because Leno was just...
I know. I thought that, exactly.
It almost went straight down the middle of the goal.
Leno went, oh, Scott's past me. Oh. 3-2.
I mean, I still don't love Doku.
Nor do I, and he even said in his interview that he didn't hit it that sweetly. But Grealish gave the ball away a lot. I can see why Pep doesn't like Grealish. He's great from an attacking sense, but from a defensive sense, which Pep loves that control, he gives the ball away too much.
Yeah, but is Doku any better than that?
No. Let's move on to West Ham Ipswich. This was a return to winning ways for West Ham.
This is what we've been saying West Ham have been capable of doing, and they did exactly that. Return of prime Mikel Antonio. That we've seen a few years ago.
They've tried to replace for 5 years.
And they said, well, we can't replace him. Off you go. And he's been rubbish for 3 weeks, and then here we go. Hey, presto. But yeah, this is what we know West Ham are capable of doing. Ipswich massively played into their hands. They scored really early, West Ham, and then Ipswich went and equalised a few minutes later. And they actually had a chance to go 2-1 up. Greaves missed a fantastic header from a corner. And if that had gone 2-1 up, this game could have looked very, very different. But as soon as they missed that chance, West Ham took full control and just went and created chance after chance. I think I wrote down they created almost 4 XG in this game, which is not something you want to see from a defensive point of view. So that's not like Ipswich are, we're a bit unlucky. West Ham finished their chances that they got well. They're creating big chances, right? They had shots cleared off the line. They had a few other chances that they missed as well. Really good. I mean, Bowen scored. Kudus looking good. Antonio on the score sheet. This is just what we know West Ham are capable of. Delap a little bit must be tearing his hair out looking at this Ipswich side, thinking, what have I got to do? I'm scoring enough goals every week. He had another one which he could have scored.
Brought him in on my wildcard.
I mean, scored, benched him.
First on my bench.
Yeah, good stuff. But yeah, he must be looking at it. And they started Calvin Phillips, who had about as good first performance for them as he did for West Ham when he started for them.
He's had such a spiral from when he was playing for England in Russia, and you were just like, this is the boy. And I don't see if he's ever going to get back to that Leeds form again.
No. But so West Ham were really good. I'm very impressed with their front three in this game. Again, it's a bit boring to say, but we know they're capable of doing this. They just need to do it week in, week out. And Ipswich made mistakes. We said they made mistakes against Aston Villa a few weeks ago, and they capitalised on it. Yeah. They made mistakes in this game again, and West Ham capitalised on it. They've got to cut the defensive errors out of their game if they're going to want to get anywhere in this league. Yeah, they're great enough, and they're exciting to watch. And games with Ipswich in are exciting to watch at both ends of the pitch. But they can't concede 4 goals like this, and again, give up 4 XG.
Still yet to win a game, and 17th. Yeah, they are going to be exciting to watch, and we say it every week. We're big fans of Ipswich, but But yes,
I'm not big fans of their defence.
I wonder if this is more what we're going to see as the norm for them.
One of 4 teams still without a win, 7 weeks into the season. Ipswich are without a win, but they have drawn 4 games.
Yeah.
They've drawn more than they've lost. So turn one of those into a win and it suddenly looks better. But you look at 2 of the teams below them in Palace and Wolves, and I expect them to start winning games before Ipswich do. So Southampton and Ipswich in particular, I feel like need to start doing something a little bit different, because otherwise it won't be long, I don't think, before Crystal Palace and Wolves do turn the corner and those 2 clubs start to become cut adrift a little bit.
If you're enjoying the show, do subscribe, leave us a comment. We really, really reply to all of the comments.
5-star review.
5-star review, give it a follow.
Yeah.
All that sort of stuff.
The support over the first few episodes has been fantastic. Like I sent Luke a graph of the people listening, and it's been going up and up. So I hope this one does as well. I hope you're enjoying.
Well, what you do is you send me a graph, and I say, "What does that mean?"
Yeah.
And
someone
you
who
explain what it
someone
works.
looks at analytics of content on a daily basis, then sends it to someone who has no idea what the graph.
Huh? But it looked like a little sound wave.
Yeah, you said, "Is that good?"
Yeah, and you said yes. Yeah, so really great, and I'm very much enjoying it as well. So
it is a lot of fun.
so do keep sending us your comments.
And it is international break next weekend.
Yes,
so we're going to do a slightly bigger. We think we're going to do like a bit of a season review so far of the teams. But if you've got specific things you want us to discuss and answer, next week's pod will be slightly different. And if you've got ways that you want to shape it, then please let us know.
Any questions or topics? Send them in.
Yeah.
Because we would love to discuss them.
We've got a slightly, so again, halfway through the pod, after we've done the 3 o'clock games, a very quick topical weekly question or quiz. So last week it was a quiz. This week it's a topical question.
Okay.
I got myself wrapped up in finding myself very interested in when a manager is going to be close to getting sacked.
Yes.
Do specific results impact whether he gets sacked?
So is this sort of in reference to Ten Hag?
It is. And I think we'll talk about United, and we probably won't talk about his sacking that much when we get to that. But so we spoke about last weekend, they lost to Spurs, that he's going to be gone. Yeah. And then
we were like, he's got 2 matches.
And then we're like, he's got 2 matches. But then I was like thinking, well, what does he need from those 2 matches? Is it performance-based? Is it points-based? Is it they're just going to wait to finish out break and is he sacked? Or is it he's going to stay regardless? They've drew against Porto, luckily. Yeah. Bruno Fernandes got sent off again. They then drew this and didn't look great.
No.
Didn't create very much.
And what's changed between... Why didn't you just sack him before the Porto game?
Well, this is it. But then maybe there's no one... In the Man United case, I understand that there's no real replacement for him at the moment. Like, there's no one they're really looking at thinking, we want
Well, there's lots of rumours that they'll give it to Van Nistelrooy.
Yeah. Ole as well, Southgate. Those are the 3 names.
But it's like, I hate to I hate this term, but like, this is Manchester United. This is Manchester United. Like, you should be going out and getting exactly the manager you want, wherever he's at.
Yeah.
But it looks like Man United just can't do that anymore. No.
But so the question I want to ask is, do you think that the results that he's been there, a year and a half now? If no more. No, yeah. 2.5.
2.5, yeah.
Does a random result midweek against Porto and Aston Villa, should that really be changing his future? Like, if he'd have... So let's say he lost to Porto but beat Villa. Does he suddenly get the job? And if let's say in that game at the weekend, Villa had scored a winner in the 93rd minute, does that change his future? This is what I'm trying to get into the mentality. And I tried to ask it on Twitter.
Oh, yeah.
And most Man United fans were like, before the game, sack him regardless.
Okay.
So that was their opinion. Okay. So I was like, okay, fine. But now I'm seeing stuff of... I don't think he's been sacked yet. And it's international break. So if you're going to get rid of him, you surely get rid of him early on and start getting used to it. So I'm just a bit like, when managers know that they're on the line, of course he knew he was on the line because Maguire and Evans started. And that is a key sign that he knew his job was on the line. Why does one result change it? Because you're not going, if he beats Villa, he's suddenly going to turn it around and they're going to...
I suppose it's if the board or whoever's in charge of sacking him are worried that the team aren't behind him. And, to go back to Mikel Arteta, and when there was a lot of fans calling for his head, probably me included to a degree, I was sort of looking at it going, this is awful. Like, we were in a relegation battle. But from watching that All or Nothing documentary, and that's the only way you can get a little bit more in-depth analysis at this, is you could see that everything behind it was the right system. It just needed the right players in there. It needed a bit of time to bed in. They were learning a whole new thing. But with Ten Hag, it feels like that's not the situation. So what I'm saying is that if the board can go, okay, we can see where this is going, even if the results are bad, then you do have to stick with the manager.
So it feels like in the United case, it is results based because they can't.
Well,
see the project.
It is performance based.
Okay.
More than results based, because they could have played brilliantly against Aston Villa, like brilliant system, and lost 1-0 back, and they were unlucky.
But if they'd have played brilliantly and lost 1-0, people would be calling for his head.
But they'd be
and
wrong.
if they'd have won 1-0 and played rubbish, people are like, he'd be more likely to stay in a job.
Yeah, and they'd be wrong.
Yeah, well, they would.
But that's why we don't. That's why fans are not in control of football clubs.
Well, it'd be hilarious.
Yeah, exactly. That should be a new rule change.
Yeah.
A fan gets to manage one game a season.
Yeah. If the manager gets sacked, you don't get an interim manager.
You just get a fan.
You get a fan picked at random a season ticket holder.
Oh.
But that's what I'm like. I don't know why. What clubs are waiting for if they know he's not good enough?
Agreed.
But that's what I was basically in this big rabbit hole at the weekend, trying to work out before that game what that game meant and what different results meant for Ten Hag's future.
Yeah.
And I was like,
I think it has to be performance based. That's my view on it.
Yeah, interested to know what people think.
Yeah, let us know.
Yeah, there's been other situations where it's been performance based, but then like. He won a game in the FA Cup final at the end of last season, and that felt results-based. They were quite good in that game, but that was a results-based
But I think the
decision
rumours
to keep
around
him.
Man United is just that they tried to get another manager during the summer and they couldn't. And I think if he'd had lost that FA Cup final, it would have been so much easier. Well, not much easier. Like, I think they would have had to sack him.
Yeah.
But because he wins a trophy, they can get away with not sacking him.
Just going to check my phone that he's still in a job.
Yeah.
I don't see anything.
Nothing?
Nope.
Okay. He's still there.
Yeah.
Let's move on to Everton Newcastle, the last game of the weekend.
Yeah.
Sorry, of the Saturday.
Saturday.
This is between shows. For those of you who don't know, I'm in Les Miserables. For me, the 5:30 kickoff. So I usually have a little snooze, and it helped me to have a little snooze.
To go to sleep. This.
Yes. What are your thoughts?
I mean, Everton were... I was going to say Everton were unlucky because Newcastle created 2 XG in this game, but one of them was the penalty. Let's talk about it. I mean, Anthony Gordon has gone back to Everton and he's missed a penalty, right? And he didn't leave Everton on the best of terms. So the Everton fans, of course, absolutely loving it that Gordon comes back and missed a penalty. What I would say is I don't like is the Everton Twitter mocking him.
Yeah.
Do you see the video they posted?
No, I've heard about it, but
so basically someone replied being like, someone should put the sound effect of over it.
Right.
And Everton Twitter posted the video of him missing a penalty and going
Really?
when Pickford saved it. Now, maybe I'm wrong, but if they're doing that because it's Anthony Gordon.
Of course they are.
And I fully get the fans can laugh at it, but I don't think it's for a Twitter admin to go and do that.
It's not a good look. I mean, we sort of talked we've talked about Twitter admins a bit. Like we talked about it last week with Tottenham, sort of like, when they beat Qarabag and they were saying, we attacked with 10 men.
Yeah, and then someone retweeted it and got loads of impressions this weekend of how did it go with 11 men?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, great. Exactly. And that's the thing is like, you're setting yourself, fans can do it.
Yeah.
But don't, and I think Jamie Carragher replied to it, didn't it? And sort of said, he's a player that, that you got 40 million from, he gave everything to the club and he left when he thought you were a shambles.
Yeah. And you are a shambles.
And they sort of were. So, but they've got this new management there. Do you think Deitch is going to keep his job under the new board?
A win and a draw in 2 games. They could have had a penalty in this game.
Okay.
Very much could have had a penalty. I would say they were unlucky not to get one.
Right.
I think it probably should have been.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think they were a bit unlucky not to... I wrote wait with penalty and then I didn't write anything more in my notes. But yeah, I think they both should have had a penalty and things would have looked very different in this game. So I think Deitch keeps his job, absolutely. They were without Branthwaite again and without Mikalenko and kept
and Branthwaite is injured.
Picked up a slight knock, so should be back after the international break. Mikalenko, a slight knock, should be a few weeks. So actually quite a good performance given they don't have 2 of their first choice defenders. Tarkowski absolutely trying to bail the sinking ship out of water, and same with Jordan Pickford. So I actually think there's much more positive to take from this from an Everton point of view than there is a Newcastle point of view. Newcastle without Alexander Isak, and just bizarrely, this new striker they've signed, Osula, just can't get on the pitch. When they don't have Callum Wilson or Isak fit, he's just not getting a look in. And I think he made a comment, or someone made a comment about it, that he's just like, why on earth he's been pretty good when he's played in the Cup. He's just not getting anywhere near it. And he's playing Anthony Gordon through the middle, which works at times, but it's just he's not a striker. So, yeah, there's definitely more positives to take from this. I think we saw positives from Newcastle against Man City last weekend, and we thought, well, let's go and see them turn it around. They got Everton away, and this was a much more positive performance and result for Everton than it was for Newcastle this weekend. So we'll see what happens next few weeks. Everton get a few more defenders back fit.
What's Everton's fixtures looking like?
They're not bad. They've still got a nice run over the next few. So they've got Ipswich, Fulham, Southampton, West Ham, Brentford. So definitely fixtures that they need points in, I would say. Yeah. But I expect them to get some. Like when they go away to Ipswich this weekend, I expect Everton to win that game.
Really? Okay.
So I've been quite impressed with them.
And as we said before, Branthwaite and Mikalenko is so important to that defence. But they kept a clean sheet in this game.
Newcastle just...
We've not seen many clean sheets this entire season, really.
I mean, just generally, they're dropping overall. But Newcastle, not the best start to their season. Yeah. Not the best. This is the type of game that they need to win. They're missing strikers. What on earth is going on with Callum Wilson's fitness?
Do we know what's going on with Isak? Do we know how long?
He broke his toe.
Right. Need that.
Yeah, you do need that to kick a foot as a striker. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, not the best start to the season for Newcastle. When we do next week's pod, I'm sure we'll talk about them and a little bit more detail. But not quite where we thought they would be. Where are they in the league now?
They are...
Okay, they're 7th.
They're 7th, 3 wins.
It was one at the start of the season that we said
they were winning and not playing well. Yeah,
it feels like it's catching up with them a little bit. But then they were really good against Manchester City last weekend. So let's wait.
I think the thing is though, you sort of can't really judge them when they've lost 2 of their strikers, and are not even playing their other ones. So I don't know. I think we'll have to see what comes when
they're all back. Absolutely,
come back.
Aston Villa, Manchester United. Moving on to Sunday
games. This was a really, really boring game. Yeah. Right. It sort of had a feeling of like after look, they've both had really grueling matches in Europe in the week. Obviously Villa incredible 1-0 win against Bayern Munich, but it couldn't be more a Emery sort of week in that
beat Bayern
2-2 draw. On the weekend, right, and then he has beat Bayern, unbelievable, and then the insanely boring draw against Man United,
Well, and it's also like everyone was like, well, Villa are going to absolutely walk over them, and it's one of those you're like, it's not going to happen, is it?
Of course.
Maguire and Evans coming in, they bring in the old guard. We've gone full circle, right? When Ten Hag joined, he threw Maguire under the bus by playing him with De Gea. They couldn't pass the ball between them, and now he's getting Maguire to bail him out and save his job. It feels like we've gone full circle.
I had a dream about Maguire last night. I had to give him a cuddle because he was crying.
What am I meant to do with that?
I was just telling you.
Oh,
you told this is in response to my friend went to school with Will Hughes.
Yeah.
I had a dream about Maguire last night, and he was crying.
Why?
Because he was sad.
Oh,
I don't know why.
Okay, back to the football.
Well, Man United have spent £630 million, and yet they're starting Maguire and Evans. I know Gary Neville made a comment before the game saying, I half expected me and Phil Neville to be the fullbacks. I was really shocked at that. And that's why I think he's more likely to get sacked. Because if he's having to go back to that, then why did you spend all that money then?
Well, I agree. The signings have not been great generally. But I thought it was going to happen.
But they're his signings. They're all players who played for Ajax. They're his signings.
I was sure Maguire was going to start. I think Evans was a push, but I was like, Maguire's going to start this game. I just saw it happening.
I was really surprised at that.
But I don't think... So I saw this interesting post about highly rated footballers that you've never actually seen play well, but you just assume they're good. And De Ligt is one of those.
Really?
I just assume he's a good centre-back. He's had a great career at Bayern Munich, but I've never actually... because I never watched a lot of Bayern. I never have actually seen him play well. I just assume he's a good footballer. But when I've ever watched him, I've never seen a world-class performance.
I feel like we've had glimpses of, and he's only, he started 2 games? I feel like in both those games, I feel like...
One of them was Southampton, though, so I'm not giving him that.
But I still think there was glimpses of going, all right, he's going to be good for the Premier League.
Did you watch them against Porto midweek?
No.
Yeah. You watch that and you try and tell me some positive things about Martinez and De Ligt partnership, and you might think again.
The butcher.
Yeah. But this was, as you say, not the most exciting.
And it's their worst points tally since 1989.
It's worse than last year.
Yeah, so their points. So he's beaten his record of last year. which was 9 points after 7 games, and now this is 8 points.
More
or
than
was it 8 last year and 7 this year? I don't know.
I think it's 8 last year and 7 this year.
We're gonna have a look.
Yeah, 7 points.
7 points.
2 wins. 14th. Oh no, 8 points. Played 7.
The only sort of highlights I can think, was Bruno had a lovely free kick.
Yeah.
That and again like that, it's one of these things. It's like such fine margins that goes in. That we're talking about a completely different game.
Yeah.
And the difference of what we'll get onto the Brighton Tottenham game, but like that first half of Brighton Tottenham, I was watching going, this was what my Super Sunday was about.
Yeah.
Where this was just utterly atrocious, and it felt like both teams at half time just said, "Look, we've had a tough midweek.
Yeah,
let's have a point each."
A bit of Champions League fatigue for Aston Villa a little bit. We said this. They've got a lot of games, and they don't have enough. They do have an okay squad, but they don't have the squad to play Bayern Munich and Man United in 4 days.
But
because they have to play them all.
Come out with a win against Bayern Munich and a point against United. I think they'd probably be happy with that.
Yeah.
Rodgers again looked really good, and we talked about it just as we were walking in. But I think Rodgers is so underpriced in fantasy football, and I think there's more. Did he get an England call up?
He was in the squad last time, so I presume he's in it again. I haven't actually looked.
And I think we talked last week, and I had a go at him for nicking Cole Palmer's celebration.
Yes, we need
Cole Palmer stole it.
We need to offer an apology to Morgan Rodgers, who I'm sure is listening.
Yeah.
Morgan Rodgers, we are sorry that we assumed that you stole Cole Palmer's celebration.
Rodgers.
But what I would say is, it's now Cole Palmer's.
Yeah.
You need to get it Let it go.
Yeah. So yes, I think it was an insanely boring game. I don't have much more to say about it.
They should have put the other 2:00 game on telly.
Okay, let's get to that.
I was going to call it the Daniels Derby, but we're not married yet, so it's not.
But it
Daniels
is.
Derby.
So you and Holly. So for those who are new to the podcast, like Holly, your fiance is a Nottingham Forest fan.
Whole family are Forest fans.
Yeah.
We and I go to Chelsea every week, and when this fixture comes around, I tell my brother. Well, I asked my brother that I can have the second ticket, and of course Holly and I go together. It's probably the biggest test our relationship has every year.
Well, I feel like this game sort of symbolised a relationship. There was like some lovely moments, there was some bad moments, and it finished with a massive row. Yeah. This is great.
The first half was really dull.
Yeah.
We had
first half of relationships can be.
We had loads of the ball.
Yeah.
Didn't create many chances, and Forest did nothing for the first half. Okay. And I was like, well, this is really boring.
Did Forest set themselves up in their typical away performances that we now can start saying it to, because they've not been great at home?
Yes, a little bit, but they did start Hudson-Odoi. So they had a little bit more to it than the performance against Liverpool, where they went really with Chris Wood and nothing else.
They've got a brilliant song about Hudson-Odoi that goes to that song, dun, 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 and it finishes with Hudson-Odoi, Hudson-Odoi. Brilliant.
Oi, oi, Hudson-Odoi. That's what we used to sing.
Yeah.
It's quite...
Chelsea
chants are really...
there's a Newcastle chant, Nottingham Forest chant when they finish it with... What's it called? What's that song called? Something Boy. I don't know. But it finishes with Hudson-Odoi. It's brilliant. Check it out. Yes, sorry, carry on. So
then the second half came, and they get a free kick, and they capitalise on it. Chris Wood, awful defending again, just like no players anywhere near the man that scores, headed down and tapped in, and we go, oh no, not this again. Mm-hmm. Then we look really good again. We create a lot of chances. The goal comes, Madueke, very good finish, doing what he does. He's had a little bit of criticism over the past couple of weeks that he's getting a bit selfish. But great finish, and that's what he does. He's very direct, and when he's scoring, we love how selfish he is. We love how direct he is, and I absolutely thought that the goal was fantastic. And then the James Ward-Prowse red card.
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
Yeah. Where he just grabs the ball.
So he's already on a yellow, and it happens right in front of me. And he goes to do, I think what Johnny Evans did a few years ago, where the clip is where he dives on the floor and heads it away.
Right.
And he goes to do that and realizes he's not getting the ball. So he just grabs it, and he's already on a yellow. He doesn't even look at the ref.
No.
He gets up and he walks off.
And I think that's his third sending off as his career.
He stopped for a minute to turn around and check because he was already on a yellow.
Yeah.
So he knew he was going to get booked. As fans, we forgot that he was on a yellow. We thought it should have been a straight red. I think he's quite lucky it's not a straight red because we would have been in 2-on-1 with the goalkeeper. So he literally walked off. He stopped to turn around to check whether it was yellow or red, and then continued walking off. And then it was basically backs to the wall for the rest of the game. We created a few chances. We didn't create
Mudryk?
enough. We created
Fantastic run from Mudryk. Put in Nkunku.
Yeah.
That's the Mudryk that you think you're going to see.
Yeah, there were 2 man of the matches in this game, one of which was Matt Sells.
Yeah,
and the other one was the other goalkeeper in Sanchez.
Yeah.
This game should have finished about 3-3.
Right. Okay.
We had so many chances when they went down to 10 men, and then they had 2 right at the end, which I was certain that they were going to score. So they got a couple of corners right at the end and should have put one of them away. So I would say in the end, I mean, we probably marginally deserved to win because we created more chances, but we didn't create enough clear cut, and they also had chances to go and win the game as well. So. And then there was fights at the end.
But that's what I was going to say about the fights. So it's like looking ahead. They're it looks like Jackson's swiped out a little bit.
So apparently he slapped one of their players.
So could he get a retrospective ban? And then Cucurella's out with 5 yellow cards, right, for the next game. And
is he?
I think that's right. Yeah, I think Cucurella's out, and I think someone else is out as well for the Liverpool game. Who else is out?
I can't remember. But there definitely are.
No,
there are a few. And we got, because there's over like 5 yellow cards now, you get a massive fine if you get more than 5 yellow cards in a game. But because they're dishing them out for like anything now, loads of clubs are getting fined. And Maresca was like, I'm not paying that. He's like, I love my play. I love the fight I see from my players. I'm not paying that.
You haven't got to pay for it personally.
Yeah, well, also, he doesn't have a choice.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
The big bank of Chelsea will be paying it.
Just to keep getting letters through to the door with like, urgent written on the front of it.
But yeah, I thought we created chances. Like, again, this is what I love about Chelsea. It didn't work at the end, but when we sub on Neto, we sub on Mudryk, who was good. We subbed on João Felix as well.
Yeah.
And we subbed on Nkunku. That is a big front 4 to bring on. Cole Palmer was a little bit quiet. He had to drop a little bit deeper to try and get the ball because Forest defended in such a good block of 4 and 4. 4 and 5 then basically, and we couldn't get the ball through them. He was a little bit quieter, had to come a bit deeper.
Was Palmer a bit unlucky?
Well, there was one which was saved on the line, which I haven't seen how close it was. I mean,
it was close. I've seen that, yeah.
But also, like, Matt Sells slips.
Right, okay.
So, if he doesn't slip, he probably doesn't get the opportunity.
Right, okay.
But, yeah, I mean, probably in the grand scheme of things, a 1-1 draw is probably fair. They do a very good job away from home, and they always do a good job against us. And Chris Wood continues his goal-scoring tally in my fantasy team.
Him.
1 shot every week, and he just seems to score it.
We'll get to FPL after this final game. Listen, we're an hour and 6 minutes in. It's time to get to Brighton Tottenham.
We'll talk Sunday.
We'll talk about the first half, and then Spurs fans can switch off after that.
And Brighton fans can come back for the second half.
Because the first half, I was sitting there as a smug person who has complimented Spurs the entire season, really.
Yeah.
Because, they so could have got a win against Leicester as well. So Spurs, and there's I think a couple of other games as well that I'd written down, which I can't remember now, where they've drawn games that they could have won. Spurs were brilliant.
Yeah.
Really good football. Kulusevski's so involved. Johnson again, that's his 7th goal in a row.
Pass through to Johnson, and their first time finish.
They're looking really, really great.
They looked defensively solid. They were controlling the game against a Brighton team who like to score goals.
Brighton looked like no chance of scoring whatsoever.
And I thought they'd score 2 more in the second half.
Yeah. It was, and I was messaging my mate who is, hates Levy and seems like he hates Tottenham, even though he's a Tottenham fan. And I was sort of like, Levy never spends any money. And I was like, well, one of your big money signings scored with an assist from your big money signing twice in a row. Maddison, brilliant. Maddison, like, calling the camera over so he could throw the dart straight into the camera.
Yeah, what I would say, that goalkeeping on the second goal from Verbruggen.
Yeah.
It shouldn't go in.
Verbruggen had a bit of a dodgy game, really.
It just goes straight under his hands.
Yeah.
And the camera then just panned to him, and it's like, oh, dear.
Yeah,
So, I do agree. They were great in the first half, but, like, that second goal, if it's 1-0, we might be not raving quite as
They could have been more.
They could have been more.
They created 4 chances in the first 4 minutes. They were superb. Yeah. They really, really, really were superb. So, like, I don't know what happens at the half time. Like, are they just sitting there at half time going, oh my God, we've just smashed it. Yeah. Lads high-fiving around.
Beers
it's like, guys, where are we going after this, guys? Big Ange. We'll barbecue round mine. Yeah. Okay? That's probably slightly offensive to Australians. But, like,
get the pizza in the half time.
Come on, guys.
Pizza and beer.
This is, let's not even bother going out.
Yeah.
Where, like, Hertzler has clearly changed something.
Yeah.
And as we know, Big Ange never likes to sit back, ever. Change the tactics, never adapt. And Brighton were superb. And obviously getting an early goal makes a big difference. Yeah. But Matoma was
so good.
absolutely superb. Minter, who was benched as soon as I bought him into my fantasy team, and then I sold him, and he was superb. Scored his first goal.
Really good.
Yeah.
Came as the replacement because João Pedro is out for months now.
Yeah.
Was really good.
And Danny Welbeck. Danny Welbeck, who's 2 years older than Hertzler.
Aged like a fine
We
wine,
how are we doing a Premier League podcast where
In
we're talking
2024.
about Johnny Evans and Danny Welbeck?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like these players have been around as long as I've been supporting football.
Yeah.
And we all know I'm old.
Yeah.
So, it was superb. And I honestly, the higher they go, the harder they Spurs. Like, I honestly, I really, really didn't see it going like this.
No.
And I'm trying not to laugh.
No, I would say I didn't see it going like this until the first goal went in.
But yeah, I still just thought Tottenham was so good.
But as soon as it went to 2-1, there is something, I'm sorry, but there is something in your mind, my mind, and minds of all Premier League football fans to think this isn't going to end 2-1.
But Maddison was just awful in the second half.
And defensively,
Udogie was terrible. Van der Ven, who I've been keeping told is like the best centre back in the Premier League, and I'm starting to go. I mean, maybe I know that's he's very quick, and but I've been talking about Van der Ven. Van der Ven's incredible. Van der Ven
and Romero.
Van der Ven was awful, and Spurs just completely capitulated, and it looked inevitable.
The third goal is the one I want to call out. Like, he was unmarked in the box, 3 yards out. Yeah. Okay, it's quite fortunate that the ball does loop over to him, but. What is who's marking him? For anyone who understands that reference, has been playing FIFA for a long time.
All right, but I think I suppose you still have to look at it and go, well, Big Ange has only been there a year, and it's a big change from Conte and Mourinho and Nuno type football. It's attacking football. We want to play the Spurs way, and this is attacking football, right? But you've got surely. He's got to see how you have to adjust in the second half.
Yeah. At some point, they've got to adjust. I feel like I do apologise to Spurs fans because as a Chelsea and as an Arsenal fan, we've got to try and be a little bit level-headed.
But I feel like I am. I feel like I'm quite positive about them.
And this week has to be like a bit of a reality check.
I quite been positive about... Looking at James, our producer, who is a Tottenham fan. But I feel like I try to be sort of almost overly positive about Tottenham, so I don't seem like just a biased Arsenal fan. But when you're 2-0 up against... I know. But when you're 2-0 up against Brighton, and it couldn't be going better, you've just won 5 games in a row, Johnson's about to score he scored his 7th goal.
I was
and
like,
then you lose.
Slanky, my fantasy team, here we go, second half, let's get him on the score sheet.
Well, no, I had Van der Ven, because I've been convinced that he's incredible.
Mickey Van der Ven.
And then they've got West Ham at home next. So, that'll be interesting.
12th kickoff. Straight after the international break.
But Spurs could win that 5-0.
Yeah, they could also lose it 5-0. So we'll see which West Ham turns up, and we'll see which
Spurs turns
up. But that is all the games for the weekend.
That's all the games.
It is international break time now, but we will be back next Monday with a little bit of a different pod. We will also leave our predictions for next weekend, but just to have a little bit review before we do FPL of how predictions went this weekend.
I don't think I was good.
I've also decided on what we're going to do with the prize for this league. I haven't told you this, but because what I don't want is people who join later, listen to the pod later on, to then have no chance of winning it. Okay. So everyone who wins a specific week will be entered into a draw at the end of the season.
Nice.
To win the football shirt of their choice. So you can get your new Liverpool shirt, your new Chelsea shirt, your new everything. But if you win a specific week, then you get entered into the draw. So we started in week
there could be
5.
Yeah.
So
30 odd.
33 players. If you win it twice, you're entered twice. So you get the opportunity to have a double chance of winning it.
I won it week 1.
Yeah. You didn't. You had an awful week this week. You were 4th bottom in the league. We have up to 65 people entered.
Nice.
So if you do want to enter, it is Super Brew Football, code SOLOFOGS, SOLOFOGS. There is a video on screen now of how you can join it. You enter your 10 predictions every week.
And it's really simple
as
well.
It's so simple. Yeah. You get points for exact result, score. You can change your predictions over the weekend. If you want to just do it now while you're listening, you can do it and just leave it. We will give you a reminder in the next pod as well. Let me just get up the round standing. So I did all right until Sunday, and then I fell apart. I got 7.5.
I think I got 13.5 the week before, so quite up to those standards.
You were 4th bottom with 3.5. Wow. Good stuff. So top this week was someone called Chicken and Rice.
Go on then.
So if you're chicken and rice, you're going to have to tell us because at the end, when we do the draw and chicken and rice is one, I'm not going to have any idea who it was. That is round 7. So last week, the person being entered into the draw, there are 2 people, of course, Danish.
Yes.
And Michael B would be the 2 that are entered into the draw for next week. And then game week 8 will be a new person. So that's it. So make sure you're entered every week. But of course, if you miss a week now, it's not the end of the world. Make sure you're in.
Yeah.
And join.
Fantastic.
We will do our predictions for game week 8 once we come back.
Yes.
But a quick shout out to FPL.
Yes.
I'm catching you.
You are. You had a good week. I did my wildcard this week, and I'm still pretty happy with it. But it's disappointing when you sell Wood, you sell Trent.
Yeah.
But I don't think, if I'd not done my wildcard, I wouldn't have bought in Saka. I wouldn't have bought in Rico Lewis. I wouldn't have bought in Palmer. I wouldn't have bought in Solanke. So it's like a lot of players I bought in got points, but it's just disappointing when, you know, Wood and Trent got 16. I don't think I gained many more points.
Yeah.
But I'm looking good. I started Rodgers over Delap. That was annoying. But still, I think I'm like 130k in the world.
Not bad.
Yeah.
I'm catching you.
I know.
I scored 62 this week.
Yeah.
Chris Wood, Trent. I decided not to buy Cole Palmer.
Yeah.
Bought Mavididi.
I watched your deadline stream. For those of you who don't watch Harry's deadline streams, they're a lot of fun because you get to see a 26-year-old man have a breakdown about whether a player is starting or not.
And this week it was Luis Diaz.
This week it was Luis Diaz, and I love it.
I had probably the biggest breakdown I've had all season.
Because you go from sort of like, oh, I don't know, right, and then you're looking at Twitter, X, and you're seeing well, this person, but hang on, they didn't post the lineup. Have they deleted their tweets? Tweets? They must have got the lineup wrong, right? And then when the lineup came out, and then it was Robertson wasn't playing.
So they did get it wrong, but they did get Diaz right.
But you go from sort of like breakdown into like you're an investigator.
Yeah,
and
big time.
It's wonderful to watch.
So I sold Luis Diaz. I bought Mavididi. He didn't do anything. He got 3. Got a clean sheet point.
Yeah,
lovely. 62 was fine.
Yeah.
Green arrow.
You got 2 transfers now, haven't you?
Yes. So it's just if I want to sell Trent to buy Cole Palmer.
And I've not watched your video from last night, but I'm guessing Palmer's coming in.
I have to sell Trent to buy Palmer.
Oh.
And I don't know. It'd be
because you were planning this week. It was like
Trent to Nori.
Oh, that would have worked.
But then it would have been Smith Rowe to Palmer, but I would have benched Chris Wood if I'd have done it.
Yeah.
So it basically leveled out even, and I'm not certain I want to do it. So I will decide on that. But that's where we're at for FPL. We're getting a week off.
Yes.
International FPL would be nice.
Yeah, but we will have a podcast for you next week. Don't worry about that. Send us in what you would like us to talk about. We'll be coming up with some stuff as well, some fun debates. And yeah, again, thanks for listening. If you're enjoying it, please do like and subscribe.
5-star review. You always forget the podcasters.
No, I just feel like it's because I'm in Vision. I forget
the people who in Vision,
the people who are listening to it. And some people just have it on YouTube and listen to it as well.
Yeah, that's true.
But
you can watch on Spotify as well.
You can watch on Spotify. The American Football Podcast.
Yeah, we're getting it fixed.
We're getting it fixed.
Promise.
Producer James has been talking to the big bods at Spotify. But yes, thank you so much, and please do comment on the videos and comment on the podcast. We really like following that. You can follow us on all the socials. And have you got a nice week planned? Busy making content? It must be a bit annoying for FPL with the old content with the.
I have to do my taxes.
Oh.
It's
That's a good time to do your taxes.
Yeah, international break, tax return. No, probably do a wildcard video, have a few days off, chill, play a bit of FIFA.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you can tell Grandad how to create tactics that work on FC25, EA25. What is it called? EA25?
EAFC25.
Oh, piece.
It's late enough in it.
Before I swear in a podcast. Right. Yeah, fine, good. I'll try and play FIFA at some point. My wife and daughter are away for a week, so I've got.
I'll play with you.
Oh my God.
I'll play against you.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Chelsea versus Arsenal. We'll have that to talk about.
Right.
We shall see you, hear you, speak to you next week.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a lovely week.
We'll see you soon.
See you soon. Bye.